All right, well, get it out or they'll keep duking it out. That's pretty much how Mitt Romney explained why he's pushing Donald Trump to get his taxes out, and the other candidates as well, because he says an unfair mainstream media is going to keep pushing the issue anyway, so you might as well get ahead of them. Former presidential candidate, Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee, isn't quite seeing things that way. What do you think Donald Trump should do, Governor?
I'm going to tell you a brief story about a young candidate who thought it would be brilliant to give out 20 years of tax returns dating back to when he first got married, thinking that people would really give him credit for the transparency and the honesty. So he laid it all out there early in the campaign. You know what he found out? The only people who cared were his political opponents, and they nitpicked through those tax returns, never gave him credit for his giving or what he had done with his life. It was all about finding some obscure thing that really didn't mean what they pretended it meant, but it made for some great attack ads. That young man was me. Wow. Here's what I learned, Neil. Never help somebody load a gun when it's pointed at your own head, because you're not going to find that it ends well. So this pressure on Donald Trump to release his tax returns, here would be my counterpoint to that. First of all, Donald Trump, as every candidate has to do, has to release detailed financial information by law. He has done that. It's available on the internet. Anybody can look at it. Every candidate already releases detailed personal financial information. The idea
is that
of
legally
tax returns,
binding? Is that legally binding? I mean, in other words, if you misrepresent something,
you have to release it.
I know that, but
I guess you could be fined. Yeah,
okay,
actually
understood.
You could, because you swear and you sign under oath that the information that you gave is correct and accurate. So there would be criminal penalties if you committed perjury by
So that's
by
as good as a
falsifying
tax
those records.
return in your eyes, then?
Well, I think it's in many ways better. Look, why do most of us have somebody prepare our taxes? Because we don't understand them. So if we release somebody's tax returns as complicated as Donald Trump's, do we honestly think that some junior reporter over at the Washington Post digging through that is going to understand those tax returns? Because if they did understand them, my gosh, they'd be a seven-figure CPA. They wouldn't be working as a cub reporter in the research room. So, look, I understand all the bluster that people have about, we're going to see the tax returns. We have a right to see them. Why do we have a right to see someone's tax returns if they have given us what the government requires? Now, here's what I think Donald Trump probably will do after he has secured the nomination, which unless something dramatic happens, he probably will. Then somewhere between that moment and the general election, he can release his tax returns if he wants to. But to make it as if that's the single qualification to be president, I find absurd. And when Mitt Romney said that to you yesterday, and I happened to be listening on Sirius XM while I was in the car, and I thought he was saying, you know, there's something in those tax returns he doesn't want to show. And I remember when Harry Reid on the floor of the Senate said, the word is out, Mitt Romney hasn't paid any taxes. And he just made that up out of thin air. And I really was disappointed that Mitt took that approach, because I thought, Mitt, you were the victim of that kind of speculation.
Well, he was advocating that he
Trump.
doesn't want other candidates to go through that kind of kerfuffle, because what will happen is the media will look at a denial or unwillingness as you're hiding a lie. Now, I know the history with these two men. They don't get along. They've been tweeting nasty stuff about each other just today, for example. But is there something, what he says, whatever your personal views on the subject, that you don't do this sort of thing, pretty soon the media will?
Oh, the media is going to beat him up over it if he doesn't release it. But newsflash, if he does release it, the media is going to beat him up over what he releases. So it really doesn't matter. The media is going to beat him up anyway. This is the nature of this game. It's why it's so difficult for people to run for office.
Do you think he's preparing people for it, though, Governor? Just yesterday he was saying, you know, I try to pay the lowest number of taxes possible. I don't like paying taxes. I have a SWAT team, I'm paraphrasing here, of accountants and lawyers to help me. That's ridiculous the way the tax code is, much to your point. And that he'll argue, no, yeah, you darn well bet I'll try to pay the least in taxes. Or could it be, because everyone will start reading, well, why don't you, that he's hiding something?
You know, I think that at some point he probably will, just because to the nature of Donald Trump, he's been, I think, amazingly transparent about everything he thinks.
Yeah.
But here's what Here's what I think will be different about the way he releases his tax returns and the way Mitt Romney did. Mitt Romney kind of downplayed that he was a wealthy man and didn't really want to release it because he didn't want everybody to see how wealthy he was. Donald Trump said on his announcement day, I am very, very rich. I am really, really rich.
That's true.
I'm so rich, you can't imagine how rich I am. You know what? Everybody gets it. He's rich. He's also said, I'm not going to pay any more taxes than I have to. I think he may be the one guy who could get away with saying, yeah, I paid $25 in taxes last year. Isn't that cool? Now I'm going to fix it where, you know, people like me have to pay more. Look, nothing that has been the rules in the game prior to this year are the rules this year.
You're right about that.
That's what we absolutely can guarantee.
All right, well put. Governor, very good seeing you again.
Good to see you, Neil.
All right.